Hey everybody, welcome to the crosses section for August 29, September 2nd, 2016. The crosses story this week is kind of very interesting because some of the old stories are coming up and there's, I think, also some new stories. Primarily, I'm really watching the pound strength and a little bit of euro weakness as kind of my big stories of the week. So let's just kind of take a look at what I think are the potential cross trades for this week. Pound CAD, which is not something that we looked at quite a lot over the last few weeks, and it was also could be a very, very volatile pair. Has actually had a lot of volatility compression. And one of the things I like about this is that if there's a lot of volatility compression, there's potential here for volatility breakout. Hopefully, it's to the right side. I like the breakout, to the upside here. With 172 is the resistance, 170 support. I think I like buying anything close to 170 for a potential move above 172 here, as I think the Canadian dollar shows relative weakness, and cable is going to show relative strength. Same kind of a story here, but a far more defined technical trade here with euro pound. Euro pound clearly, I think, hit a spike high at 87. Has been working off that spike high. We've seen a little bit of readjustment where euro pound found a lot of support at the 8,500. But I think this is the critical thing here. If you're betting on the fact that you have a lower high failure in euro pound, which is my thesis for this week, it presents a very interesting short against the move here, or any kind of a short against the spike, because again the idea here is I think everything that's been thrown out at cable has shown that the UK economy kind of been able to withstand the Brexit stress much better than anybody expected, and with yields on the US side starting to rise, the actual pressure will be against the euro more than it would be against the pound at this point, because the euro is much closer to the zero basis. So the potential that the euro kind of sells down is quite possible. And the euro weakness, again, is an interesting theme in the euro Kiwi trade, where you have a series of lower highs, pretty clearly defined resistance and support points. And again, kind of a sell any kind of a bounce in the euro. It's a sort of a short the euro trade as well as a long the pound trade as the primary thesis for my cross ideas this week. Let's take a look at the charts here to give you a little bit more color and idea of what I'm talking about. So first, let's open up the pound CAD trade and take a look at this. Pound CAD, what's obviously interesting about this technically is just how clearly we have a double bottom defined, how well and nicely the support lies over here at the 70. How we tested support, came back up to the highs of the day. It really feels like you kind of just want to buy this at 70, 50 or anywhere close to that with a stop below the 170s, and see if you could get a further push to the upside as the week progresses. The top side here is obviously all the way up to 75. That's a very, very strong reach. You really would need to get some serious pound strength. It's as well a trade also on the fact that you might get some oil weakness, and if you get oil weakness, that really creates dollar CAD strength, which helps the whole trade to the upside. Not much risk here, because obviously I think if you drop into the 169s, this whole trade turns quite out. It basically turns from a potential breakout trade to a top out trade, and therefore you just want to abandon it as an idea. But as a potential momentum right off the gate into the front of the week, could be an interesting move. So the other idea, which is I think much cleaner and a longer term trade thematically, is this, we have a higher double top, right, at the effectively at the 87 level. So we've corrected off the 87. We had a small bounce, and now we actually just couldn't even get that small bounce to a move towards the 86s. I think the next move through 85 breaks us all the way down to 84s. So this to me is a much cleaner, better short on the charts here, with obviously 87 as the sort of the ultimate stop out point. You get up to 86, it becomes less certain, but still remains as a short, because it still would not have broken the near term highs here. And certainly as we start moving down through the 85s, the momentum here to break it down towards 8450, 8400 becomes quite strong. So I really like the euro pound. It's probably one of my favorite cross trades for the week. And then last but not least, here's the euro kiwi. It's a more subtle look. It's kind of hard to discern why I think this is a short, but just because it looks like the candles look like they're forming a base. But ultimately, if you look at the longer term chart here, first of all, it's an incredibly long term downtrend. The small bounce back, failure on a lower high, and therefore this 56 really operates as the cement ceiling for the trade. and any kind of a turn, it's really, right now basically churning. So if you can get anywhere close to the 55s, 56 as an entry point, you probably have a great beachhead location for a potential final move down to the 52s as you get the euro selling. Basically on yield differentials and everything else that's going on. So I like this trade as well. It's a more subtle trade. Euro pound is clearly the more obvious trade, and the pound cat is frankly a punt, but maybe worth doing at the beginning of the week. Those are the crosses that I think look most interesting. Of course, the big story this week is the pro-dollar move. Can the Fed deliver? Can the NFPs confirm the Fed's hawkishness, and can then the market get really behind the idea of what seemed pretty unfathomable as early as last week, which is a potential for September rate hike and a potential for 50 basis points of tightening in the U.S. yield curve before the end of the year, which completely changes the ball game as far as the currency market goes. I wish you guys the best of luck, the best of trading. Of course, we'll be watching everything this week with open eyes, and I'll see you guys next week.